everybody to Let's Talk About Web3, episode 15. I'm rocking it here with my two co-hosts, EZ and Ohnahji B. How we doing, guys?
Yes, sir. Things are good. How you guys doing?
Be back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. It's episode 15. You guys know what we start out with. We always start out with a little bit of gratitude. Why are we here today? Why are we grateful? I'm gonna shoot it over to EZ first. How you doing, EZ, today? What are you grateful for?
Doing good. I'm just super grateful that we're here together because it's been only a couple weeks of having a little time off, but it feels like it's just been forever. I mean, Web3 blockchain crypto moves at breakneck speeds. So it feels like a month went by when it was just in regular time, just a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm super grateful to be back with y'all. Missed these connections and stoked that I guess we're going on live on Retake too, which is super cool.
Looks like we are live there, so I think we are ready to rock.
Just a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm super grateful to be back with y'all. Missed these connections and stoked that I guess we're going on live.
Say again?
What are you grateful for today? Sorry, another audio started playing. So
it's all good. It's all good. We rocking. We live. We troubleshooting. I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful for health. Not gonna lie. This weekend I was a little down bad. I think I got a mutated strain or whatever is floating out there. It felt COVID-y. The smells was gone, taste was gone. Like I was super achy. It was a rough weekend, but I'm grateful for health. I'm getting back into it. Shout out to the community. Shout out to streaming. I was able to push through it and take my mind off it and not suffer by myself. So I'm super grateful for health. Never take that for granted, family. When it's time to rest, it's time to rest. And yeah, for sure. I was reminded of that this weekend. What about you, Z?
Glad you're doing better.
Thank you.
I like that. I'm grateful to be like a little bit more into the regular routine of things personally. This is the first week that I don't have softball at 6 p.m. That are at the same time as my two events that are during the week. So that's pretty exciting. I'm very grateful. We had an awesome year. We ended up winning in a league that started with 3 teams and ended with 2. So it was a blast, just like hanging out with them, doing a little bit of slow pitch softball. I'm grateful no one got too hurt. In like the last game, I sprained my hamstring a little bit. So like that was like another like, okay, first off, a few times that I wasn't stretching. So like that gives you another like grateful to like have the opportunity to be able to stretch and then like not have broken anything too bad. And then like everyone kind of got through the season unharmed. So grateful, like you said, for health and then to be back here with you guys in a regular routine. Let's get started. Episode 15. There's so much that's happened in the last 3 weeks. I mean, there's always going to be. I think like ETH in general, right? Like it's like we're at near all-time highs now, right? Like that wasn't really as true before, I think, right? Like I don't know where it was at when we did this 3 weeks ago. But that's got like me back to this like, okay, so I'll say a lot of things and then either of you guys can pick one of the things to branch off on. So while ETH is really interesting and near all-time highs and getting to that point where everyone's eyes are back on it, everyone, who's complaining about it, less than a year ago is like, okay, like ETH is at everything, get rid of everything else. But I think we're actually now at a point in this ecosystem that having an application like a DApp on Solana, being able to leverage your Ethereum and still use that application is super possible now. Where in the past, people have had to build their DApps on Solana, Ethereum, all these other different places that they want to bring people. But now the UI has gotten better and the wallets have gotten better to the point that it's pretty seamless now. Not 100% perfect, but it's getting there. And it's like there are places and pockets that it is there and it is pretty frictionless. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on that whole thing, right? Like, and then like, to put it from like a theoretical to a very specific, like Wave Wars is a decentralized application on Solana. And my biggest thought of getting distribution for something like Base rather than spend however much time and hire a developer and build it out on Base and build out the D app on Base and have two separate things would be to build something like a mini app on Farcaster where someone could use their Farcaster wallet, swap right into Solana right there, and then leverage that mini app, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm thinking. Curious what your guys' thoughts are.
Well, to jump in for a sec on that, I think Farcaster mini apps are like a great place to both test games, apps like Wave Wars, and I think it's also ripe for some Solana to come in and build over there because you've got, the wallet supports a lot of chains. You can build mini apps on different chains, whether that's from Monad testnet to Solana to Celo to EVM. So I think there's a good market and it's ripe. I mean, it's a small market comparatively, but that might be good, because if, God forbid, there's a little bit of stickiness somewhere, you can pretty easily go in and clean that up without like having a major disaster. Like if you launch some app on, whatever, Google Store or for an iPhone. So I think that's actually that could be a great next step. And then you could sort of be cornering, like there's like this little Solana Racer app where you bet if it's going to dump or if it's going to pump. And you get like 4 or 5 seconds and it makes a little meow, like car sound. It's kind of funny.
Very interesting. I have not heard of this.
Yeah, Onchain. Yeah. So you pay like maybe 2 cents in Solana if you want to if you win a certain amount of races and you want to register that and then you get points, but there's not much on Solana over there. So that's like an open field to be like the first dope Solana app on Farcaster could be the move.
It's nice. I love it. I think, for me, I've been plugging Wave Wars to a couple of my other little chats and things. And it's interesting because, a lot of even my musician homies that have been in Web3, they're like, oh, really? I didn't hear anything about this. I'm like, yeah, and they know, HURRIC4N3IKE and Zaal and all the fam. But they're like, I didn't know that they were building this. Like, there's so much going on that it's easy to miss even what the homies are building. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, okay, cool. And then he was like, and I told him, I was like, yeah, they're building on Solana. And he was like, I was dying laughing. But Solana, it is an ecosystem. One of my favorite devs, he called himself the Salon Don, because he was an early just killer with Solana, and he was getting a lot of placements and different things like that. He said it's one of the easiest places to learn, when it comes to development on chain, and it's one of the easiest places to learn the language. I think, is it Rust over there for Solana, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, that's one of the languages.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what people.
He was saying that one of the languages is like one of the easiest ones to kind of like grasp in the beginning and translate, into the other chains out there. So, Solana is a great place to build. I think, Solana is not a great place to play. Like a lot of the gambling goes on over there, but behind the scenes, a lot of people are building some really cool tools like the Wave Wars fam. So yeah, I'm excited to see how the future is.
Interestingly, as I usually take a peek at markets, at least, once a day, and usually that's before I go for my little walk-in with easy routine. I've seen when pretty much across the board over like the last 5-6 days, when things are down and it's been, we had like 1 or 2 up days and 3 down days. Well, on those down days, Sol was still in the green. It'd be up like 3 or 5%, and Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB, whatever, like most was down. And I was just noticing that, and I'm like, interesting. So Sol is sort of bucking the trend when other stuff is drooping a little. And it did, it sort of had a bad rap, and for good reason, because they were like, they're not very decentralized yet. They've had to shut down the chain. There was a lot of meme gambling, and like it was kind of a chaotic time for a while on Solana. Like, I think that as it matures and chains go through these sort of like phases phases of development as, you know, more over for game coins and a few game casinos, it's going to change the dynamic as well. And if they can further out more across the board from just kind of like.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, no, I think I was very against like us building on Solana at first, but like, oh, I think we had lost you for a second there, easy at the end.
Yeah, I got the little yellow tag. I guess I'm back.
No worries, no worries. I was just gonna say that I was initially very skeptical of building on Solana for Wave Wars when Hurricane told me about it, but as he started telling me more and more about Solana, I started learning more and more of some of the like general myths that are out there, like about the like how everything works in the space. And like he said, like as he just started like coding and like trying things out and started playing around with the blockchain, he noticed some specific things that were super beneficial for that. I mean, he initially did start the whole build in EVM, right? So, and he is building a very similar thing in EVM for another project. So like to spin it up in EVM would be possible, but there's some security practices while you code in Rust that are just like naturally there, because I guess there's just like some native primitives that you can use versus like Ethereum doesn't really have any. You kind of have to create your own basic functions other than like actually like you do have to create your own other than like all of the ERC standards were created at some point by people in Ethereum. Right. So every standard that was created was an iteration of a previous one, and different bugs are squashed for this reason or that reason. And again, now this is like hearsay from Hurricane. There hasn't been a smart contract hack on the Solana ecosystem because of exploit like the significant amount of hacks that we hear happen to smart contracts that happen on Ethereum. So that was his like second reasoning. Like those kind of are kind of like hand in hand. So those were two like really interesting things to me that I had not really realized before about it. And I was like, okay, like, you know, you're building all of this. Like the way I've built this DAO is that, you know, you're the leader of this. Like if that's what you think, I can only advise so much and rock it out with you. And in that year of him building it, like we've gotten to a point now where I can, without necessarily building all the smart contracts, hopefully leverage the Ethereum ecosystem by doing something here that can natively get people to leverage the Solana ecosystem in our DApp. So it's super interesting. This like cross, like not just like within its own chain, but like super cross chain interoperability starting to happen. We're starting to see more DEXs have cross chain capabilities and it'd be pretty fast. So it's just really cool the world we're kind of coming to. And the one like biggest thing I thought about like Solana that would like make us stand out more than anything is that like you guys were saying, Solana got a lot of bad rep because of the meme coin craze and some of the challenges that come with the zero sum game that comes with that. And usually it's a negative sum game for retail, right? Because you don't have the information that other people do. And because of that, so many of the projects on Solana, if we're going to go like, especially if you're going to give like total percentage, right? Like there's so much volume of all of these tokens that have very minimal, if are still around, have very minimal value to give back to a consumer. Now, if we come in with something like Wave Wars, we are building something that is a little bit more set up for the long term. I think that while a lot of places on ETH are doing that already, you know, if we're doing that on Solana, it also will stand out a little bit more, right? Because in ETH, you have all of your like general like now I'm blanking on the word, of course. Social goods, right? Like like stuff like that, right? Like where there's like built-in things that are like long-term beneficial, right? Like there's not a lot of that on Solana, right? So I think it could be cool to start to build that with the Waveforce culture.
Do you think that's
sure.
the thing with just like just the market size, as far as like, ETH is kind of the biggest when it comes to, the smart contract layer, and then you kind of have, that those niche underneath that we're able to have a social good layer. And I just think that, Solana maybe just is not, grown big enough to have kind of attract that type of niche yet. You think that's part of it, or you think, I mean, on the other hand, it might just be the culture of the chain is just not suited for that,
I was going to mention like the culture in the early days when ETH was like, getting smart contracts built up and having, new token standards. Like there was a lot of interest in education, help supporting artists, public goods and social impact. That was sort of wrapped into some of the early culture. So I think that partially that is why you see Ethereum being the chain where a lot of these social good platforms are based. But most of them also now have ways where you can use, half a dozen different chains to be able to like log in and donate, across the board. So it shouldn't necessarily be something that holds back maybe some more public goods coming to Solana. But I do think partially because of the culture when these things were being sort of rolled out, that Ethereum was adopted. And then sort of part of the culture in the early Solana days was a lot of sort of, the gambling, and then the meme coins is what really blew it up, which is, sort of a type of gambling. So I think that that's part of it.
100%.
Well said.
B, what do you think?
No, well said. Yeah, for sure.
Because like you said on your stream the other day, something about ETH versus Sol. And I was like, because of Hurricane now, I've started to become a little bit more of like a Solana friendly individual in the crypto space. And I've like I was explaining earlier, right? And hearing that from you, I was like, okay, interesting. I'm curious what ways I could potentially change B's mind. But also Prism did ask a question about the base app rollout, which we should chat about, which we should rocket into after. I mean, or B, you could also just like go right into that.
Yeah. No, yeah, we can. I will segue. We'll segue it. Shout out to the chat.
The thoughts, go for it. Like,
yeah. Shout out to chat. Shout out to Prism. No, I 1000%. I didn't know those things. I've kind of been me personally just kind of been put off by that change just from some of the things that I've seen from like major accounts surrounding it, and kind of the filtering, the subsequent underneath culture. It just wasn't really my vibes, And then, but I haven't heard things like what Hurricane has researched as far as like, they haven't had like major hacks and different things like we have experienced all over Ethereum with the smart contract layer and stuff like that. So, I mean, eventually I might return to it as if more homies, more if you and Hurricane are building more different wave wars, tooling and stuff like that I kind of have to pay attention to. I'll dive into it and I'll explore it. No problem. I have Phantom installed. I also have Backpack as an alternative installed, so I'm not completely against it, but yeah, I'm still at ETH Maxi. But yeah, let's get into, ETH. Let's get into base. Let's get into Farcash. Let's get into the base app.
Prism did
excellent
there. Yeah. The FTX shadow caused some issues, right? Like I heard so much, all this talk by all these crypto. I mean, people used to call them crypto YouTubers, but like it's KOLs now, right? Like that's literally the term, right? And these KOLs are all saying so much about like, oh my goodness, there's going to be this unlock when everyone gets the FTX and everyone's going to sell it. And it was actually like a huge liquidity event because everyone got their like money from FTX, I think, in like fiat. So they were able to buy crypto, which was insane. I'm not 100% sure about that, so don't quote me on that. But I digress. I know FTX had a lot to do with a lot of different things. I actually saw FTX as a normie, but from a different perspective from the GameStop saga, because we were watching FTX blow up like the weeks before it, like kind of like seeing all of it kind of lead, because like for the GameStop crew of individuals and like sleuths, they were all about like following the money. So like a lot of the GameStop like stock that was being shorted like over and over again was actually created in FTX as like crypto one-to-one shares, and they were using that as a way to create many more IOUs. So like GameStop is one of the reasons, like every single time GameStop had its like peak or whatever, right? And they were in that IOU range. I think those were the couple times that what's his name had to Bankman-Fried, right, had to double down, and I think he doubled down like once or twice on all of his money, and he I know he doubled down once and was successful. I don't know if the second time if it was successful or if it was the third time he failed, but I'm pretty sure some of the money that had to do with all of the GME saga had also to do with FTX kind of getting cleared out. So, you know, in a, you know, unironic way, that's the kind of the side I was watching the FTX collapse.
Interesting. So shady. Yeah. But the base app, let's jump in. I am not yet over there, so I don't have a lot to share. All I know is that it's like one feed to rule them all, I guess. You know, it's not, there's not like channels and think different ways to look at it. You basically, I guess you have a home feed, and then I think maybe there's a video feed. But people have, you know, the early people over there were making some coin. Like every single post is like turned into 1 billion tokens or something, and people can buy you know, your coin for each of your posts. And versus Farcaster, where like each cast is basically kind of like a one-of-one NFT in a sense. You don't necessarily have like the art on that cast, but you're kind of the owner of the cast. So interesting differences there on how they sort of go about, you know, the creators being able to monetize their content. I think they have a similar leaderboard, so you get rewards if you're, you know, being active and people are interacting with your content. That signals it's decent content. Hope to get over there soon. I signed up day one on the email waiting list, and I'm just waiting for them to shoot me the invite.
Yeah, I think that's a great outside in perspective, another outside in perspective that I've heard from a lot of people. Actually, like, this is not my perspective personally, because like I'm lucky enough to have actually had an invite pretty early from Farcon, which was pretty cool to like hear and see like the way they were going. And that's like what one of the things, like not only like going to Farcon led me to like double down a little bit more on Farcaster, but hearing that, and I think the opportunity around shoot, what did I say? I lost my train of thought now. I was looking.
You're all good. You're all good.
Base app. Okay. So a lot of people have been saying to me they don't understand what the base app, right? Like, what is it? What is Farcaster? How is it different? How is it the same? And I've had a lot of people like complaining to me saying like the base app is bad, like being like, okay, like it's redundant to what is here in Farcaster. And I think trying to explain the pros and the cons of these two things would be interesting. I don't know if either of you guys want me to take the stab at it, or B, you want to go for that, or then easy, like any of you guys want to take that?
You know what? Hearing that word redundant, that actually kind of hits. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, for me, I haven't opened the base app until like right now, and you know, Easy, don't feel bad about missing out on it. Early access. I made like maybe $11, maybe off of a bunch of posts.
Agreed. Me
right?
too. I haven't earned anything there. I also haven't been posting as much there. But I do want to say the one thing I've just started this week that I don't know why I didn't do earlier. I just started logging out of the Farcaster client with my main account and started going in on the brand account on the client, and now having the base app for my personal account, right? So you know how on X, when you want to have two accounts and swap between or like leverage both at the same time, there's no good way to do that without logging out or using another device. here instead of another device is literally like another app. So like instead of it being redundant for that, it's like that is a place where leveraging that redundancy is available, right? But I think that when they get out of beta, it'll be a lot different than where it's at right now. I think that there's gonna be this like huge wave of people creating their content coins for the first time, excitement around that, and then people trying to figure out like utility with tokens and how that works. And that's like been the most interesting play here in Web3 as a whole. That's like what like all of these like really philosophical folks have like come into the space and tried to figure out like what is a token for, what does it do, what are the best ways you can leverage it and this new form of technology and capital to bootstrap whatever it is, whether that be a company, a brand, idea, a piece of art, right?
So I've got a question. So you have this content that is coined over there, right? You got this content over there. People are buying your coin or buying your fractions of your post. They're basically buying your coin, right? Then is there a market trading those coins, or is it just like if somebody then wants to sell the coin they've accumulated of you, does it just kind of go back into your pot? Like, how does that end of it work?
Great question.
I don't know.
No idea. The way I understand it right now is it's terrible for you, right? Like it's not like perfect for you in any way, shape, or form, in the sense that like every single piece of content that you create on the base app, if you don't opt out, like it's an auto opt-in, right? Sorry, not opt-in, it's an opt-out, right? Like not making your content coinable. So if you don't like press no, then your content gets coined singularly with a new liquidity pool, a new token, a new everything, a new name, a new ticker, a new description, which is really annoying because I only ever type in the name. I don't even type in a ticker at this point with it, right? But it's like, what is this, right?
That's all the things I didn't like about Zora when they did
that's
that
the thing. They're leveraging this Zora SDK. So it is just using Zora tech, right? Like on base. So
but then Zora at least gave us a creator coin. Like I have EZinCrypto or whatever the frick my token is. Like I have that people could essentially support me through if they weren't, or when they buy my posts, maybe some goes to that. It's all very like, it's too fragmented for me to really like get behind and be like, oh, this is how I want to try and like make my money or something. Like it's great to have some like tips roll in. There's a new mini app on Farcaster that lets you coin, that like gives you basically a coin co-build. Actually it came out of God, what was it was the social goods app.
Oh, sorry.
Having a brain fart.
Rocket Man and
yeah, so it was the like stream, you get, you know, a little stream monthly.
Flows, right? Flows.wtf.
Yes, flows.wtf. Thank you. So it came from Rocket Man, kind of like coming out of Flows, trying to figure out other ways to like have people be able to get support. And it's basically sort of like, you know, you've got your co-build coin and people can decide like I could put in $1 of USDC, and every time I like somebody's post or recast with a comment or like set it up how you like, you're basically buying their co-build token, which was interesting. So it's like a different take on some of these, you know, coining your account or coining your posts or casts or minting them as NFTs. Like there's all these different experiments going on right now. It's just kind of wild.
That's all it is. It's all experiments right now in this new form, right? We went through like the different types of coins, meme coins, and content, and we're just stuck on this phase right now where, you know, so much different types of content and even, you know, videos, short form, long form. We're in a new stage where we can coin all that stuff now on mobile. You know, everybody's just kind of experimenting what they can do with it, the use cases for it, just throwing everything out, and kind of feels like, whatever hits the wall and sticks, that's what we're running with. And it does feel very, fragmented for sure. So yeah, to answer like, the base app thing, I'll be honest, I went back to I'm back on Farcaster, like the actual app, because I really like the channels part.
Okay, wait, actually, I got something here. Yeah. Before you continue on that someone said, Desh Sachs said, Recaster works for multiple accounts. So that's interesting. I did not know that. So Ohnahji B and I had a conversation with an AI this week, right? And we saw that Nanar implemented their AI because someone asked, can we get Grok for Farcaster? And because Nanar implemented their AI, I asked it, what are other clients that I can use other than Farcaster? Because no one seems to tell me what this is, right? Because to be honest with you, I can understand. Right now, while this network is so small, it makes sense to leverage the largest client. And that's I think the case with the base app still. But like I said, when it changes and it flips to not beta, and for the first time, potentially Farcaster, Warpcast, Merkle team is not the biggest client out there, the ecosystem and network changes, right? So that's gonna be really interesting. So it's we all know that's coming. It's in beta. I feel like it's on the walls, right? Is writing on the walls is the term maybe. But I think that that side is when that's what putting everything you can down right now and laying down where you see good things happening on Farcaster, and you think it's as just volume is going to come in, people might go to it, maybe not speculating on something that you think people are going to go to, but something that you use personally. But that's my way of looking at it. Other people don't think like that, but that's kind of where my thoughts go. So I'm going to try out Recaster. So thanks, Dash. Appreciate that.
And then there's another one. There's Recaster, and then there's, I forget what it's called. But back a little bit to this token thing and everything being tokenized, and we sort of had the tip-in and the noise and some of these come into play. I did want to touch on what tip-in has been doing by working with other projects. So they just had their season 2 allocation. The first season, tip-in season, was they gave you tip-in to try and grow the ecosystem, basically, to reward other people. If you gave out all your tip-in allocation, you then got more tipping later as a reward. They partnered with Betterment, which has I think it's 3 or 4 weekly sales of a collaborative piece of content. That person that is featured on that day, they might give out some of their tokens. The purchases go towards that person, so they might make 500 or 700 or $1,000 or whatever, which is good for the artists. Get some of their token out there. You basically buy a ticket, which is it could be a podcast episode or a piece of art, and then you get a spin on a wheel. And you can win nothing. You can win double what you spent, 5x. There's a big jackpot. And you'll get different tokens back. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's something else. But Tippin and Betterment kind of did this collab for the season 2. And I think I had 750,000 Betterment to give out. It was actually a little bit of a chore because I was trying to run contests and you're I need to give this out. Somebody do something cool for me. But eventually I did. I gave it all out. And I also received over that period, I think it was 650,000 myself in tips from other people tipping me better. So I tipped out a little more than I got, but then I'll probably also get a reward for tipping all that out. It's just a super win-win. And they call it the flywheel kind of effect because they're bringing in, other communities and other tokens and giving it out. And then either the day of or the day after that allocation finished, Betterment announces we've got now staking. You can stake your Betterment that y'all just got for free by doing your regular content stuff, and then you can get paid back more better. And it's just these are the things that I see having more growth potential, when you're collaborating with different communities and you've got a coin that you can like stake for rewards and then get allocations to give out, and more people are then staking, which is healthy for the token. And it's like there's some really interesting experiments again in this sort of social token and tipping culture that's going on right now on Farcaster. I don't know how much of that relates to the base app. I know that the content you post there, if you have a Farcaster account, shows up then in Farcaster. They've now sort of changed the rules on rewards on Farcaster so that something coming from the base app if it doesn't originate in Farcaster, it's not available for like leaderboard rewards. I actually got $10 this week, which was totally dope, because since like about a month ago when I fell off the leaderboard, I was like, I'm not gonna even like pay attention, because it basically like stressed me out for a few days. So I've sort of been trying to not pay attention, and then when I'm not paying attention, I do better than when I'm paying attention. It's all, very fascinating.
It's like, yeah, that's that leaderboard, that gamification, it really hits on that human psychology for sure. It's like you kind of mess up a week or you miss a week or something, you're just like, dang. But it's like, that's a crazy thing to get down on ourselves.
There's also many
Right.
folks like using the leaderboard for negative and semi-toxic like posts, right? And like trying to like bait folks, right? And like are actually like succeeding at like getting high on the leaderboard, right? Like, and you get a little bit of that like, energy from the, going up in the leaderboards and dopamine, right? Like, and I can imagine that somewhat being a negative thing too, that I've seen with some folks. So, I do think that what you just said there, Easy, is the answer to Prism's question there. So Prism said, could you please advise me on the best course of action to facilitate the distribution, the purchase of my content? I'm unsure whether I should repost it or post it in all relevant channels. I'm at a loss and need guidance on how to achieve distribution. Like, amazing question. So first off, let's bring it back to last week, or last week being episode 14. Peachy came on and gave us a mini app that actually helps you, and that I think is the reason you should use Zora and the way you should use it. And the reason I haven't posted many more things on Zora is because I still haven't figured out exactly how to use it. But it's this mini app called Zorro, Zoro or Zorro, right? And it's a mini app on the Farcaster ecosystem that you can use to combine your new coined content and pair it with your creator token. And I think that's a much better way of achieving distribution on a platform than creating many, many, many more tokens. You leveraging your creator token, your main token there, and if you buy any coin post, it's going into that creator token, right? Like, let's say one coin post goes off and somehow that like has a higher market cap than your creator token, right? Like, that can happen right now, I'm pretty sure, right? So
yeah,
so like that's pretty nuts. I mean, like, it probably won't, because people will arbitrage and leverage, and like people will probably sell that to just buy the creator token, right? If that ever happens. So won't. But you know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting idea. So I do think that like not thinking about it, like you said, is the best way about going at it. But like not thinking about like in terms of like how to achieve distribution, but like finding ways like that add utility to like the underlying token itself, and the way that like just by your natural course of posting as it is, you are getting additional things. If you can do that and add it to your general workflow of your day-to-day life, it's much better. And that's like where I see it. So it's like build up ways to make it able to be leveraged into your day-to-day life.
Yeah, dude, consolidating like across multiple social medias that now have this blockchain integration seems like such a better move than just fragmenting every single thing you do out into some different token. How do you ever
I was about to say,
from that?
this also leads to the exact thought I had after I just said all that, was what Prism just typed out in the chat. So I'm going to pull it up here. I was thinking this reminds me of Arena, because I'm at a loss of like, I saw like I have a lot I ended up just like putting $100 like two different times into my Zora account because I was like, more recently, because someone asked me, I think it was B, like, okay, so like I said something about like thinking Zora is gonna be successful, but I don't like it. He was like, okay, well, why don't you bet on it? I was like, okay, like, let's try it out. Like, let's buy some creator tokens of some of our folks and stuff. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, wow, this is like actually more money than I kind of want in like a hot wallet, right? But it's like I can't really sell any of these. They're all like friends of mine. And I think that it's been really cool to see the conversation this time in Zora be a little bit different. But I'll shoot it over to B to say his last words, and then I know he's got to get out of here, and we'll be wrapping it up soon. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, family. Yeah, I got to do it moving. Amazing conversation as always. My goodness. Like, I'm glad to be back with the boys. I'm glad to be back. Let's talk about Web3. Shout out to all the people in the audience everywhere. We're streaming everywhere. Multi-streaming, baby. So yeah. Keep the conversation going. Keep cooking. Chat. Put all the comments in there. Like, you guys have any questions or anything? No question's a bad question. We're all learning in this new emerging tech space. So yeah, let's all grow and collaborate together for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Thanks, B.
Have a great rest of the
Appreciate
week.
you for popping in. Sharon, it's been also like really cool to talk with you guys because a lot's happened. And like, I feel like news after 3 weeks is pretty cool. But I was thinking, and man, we talked about this, and now B, I guess you can pop on, but you need to be able to see it. And I don't want you to like look at the screen while you're driving. But we were talking just before this call about like, okay, like I want to show you this platform, Flix.fun. I was talking to B, right? And I was saying that, and I was gonna present it, but I guess I can still, and B can look back at it later. Let me pull his thing off and share my screen here, and just share a little bit about Flix.fun, which is previously known as OmniFlix Studio. So I think some of the branding's still there here, but this is the dashboard of Flix.fun or OmniFlix Studio, I guess. And what you can do now, and what we've been leveraging with the Wave Wars team, is you can actually create a 24/7 stream of your content on different platforms. So we have a Wave Wars. Let me make sure I mute this. We have a Wave Wars 24/7 stream going right now. If this would load. I think it's lagging a little bit because we got so much bandwidth going on this Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But essentially, the thing you can do here is you can actually go and you can lease out a media node of different sizes depending on what you need for your streaming endeavors, whether you want to broadcast 24/7 or whether you just want to leverage this to simulcast to multiple destinations at once and just do it during your hour, right? Like, you have the ability to pay in crypto with the specific size you need. So we're using this specific node right now. And with this node, if I press manage, I think we can see some of the, it's sharing the whole screen, right? Like, you can see the new tab. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can check out a little bit more. Oh, shoot. I don't know if I was supposed to necessarily share that. I guess it's not connected in, so maybe not. I digress. Somewhere on here, on the OmniFlix market, you can buy nodes and you can actually stream to multiple destinations. So we have it streaming to OmniFlix TV, our Twitch, our X, and our YouTube, and soon to add our Pump.Fun stream, which is coming out this Saturday. The stream is going to be coming out this Sunday, but the token will be this Saturday in our space at 11. We're really excited for that, to be streaming on Pump.Fun. And I actually think, secret sauce here for anyone who's still here, we're going to be streaming on Retake very soon as well. So definitely check out the Wave Wars account. We've been posting a little bit more, getting more active. And with this, we're going to be able to leverage 24/7 streaming. And it's really cool. I would love to share more, but it seems that I can't. It's awesome. We're super excited to work more with Flix.fun. And it's been really cool to see some of the clips. Just like when I'm bored, like I'll just go to the YouTube or go to the Twitch and just check it out, say a couple words. And I think it'll be very cool in the future when we do have different shows and different places to leverage. And very soon, I believe we're going to have a ZAO TV. In addition, that's going to be more of the community events, and Wave Wars TV, which is going to be very specifically the Wave Wars brand. So we're excited, and Flickstop Fun's really cool. You guys should all check it out.
And so if you buy like one of the servers or whatever, you could then lease that out or rent that out.
Yeah, so you don't buy the servers, you lease them for a certain amount of time, right? So it's not yeah, you're not buying digital servers, you're leasing them for the amount of time that you're going to use them, essentially. So you're paying for the ability to use the media node, but you keep all of your content, right? So you are able to put all of your content in one central place, and you own it, and it's actually all being uploaded to our Weave when you do upload it and send it to OmniFlix as well. So there is one place on the databases that you can kind of come back to and point from and grab it.
That is cool. Yeah, I actually was for maybe 2 weeks max, we've been talking about trying to take maybe Easy's Corner, which we do over on the Token Smart Discord, which Discord, it's just, we haven't had a lot going on there lately. So usually there's not a big crowd, but we often will put that off to YouTube and onto X. And I was thinking a great place to put that as kind of one of the hangouts would be to put that to retake. So I'm thinking maybe of starting to take the Monday Easy's Corner and put that over on Retake, where people can easily find it, hang out, have that open on a device, be able to chat with people, take questions and stuff like that. So I think going to try and implement that in the next couple of weeks.
I think you should do it up. I think they recently had an update where after 30 days, you get 10% of your creator coin, which unfortunately wasn't there when I clanked my coin. So I don't think it was a available option. But I actually just recently watched a little bit of the Clanker interview on the GM Farcaster podcast. And it's just like opened my mind a lot more to like what Clanker truly is for the base ecosystem and how base has taken over total volume of coins from Solana, right? And that's really interesting to me. And like, of course, creator coins and content coins, like it's going to be exponential there. But with these other coins, it's just a really interesting concept to me to have something like with crazy good utility and not like on a launchpad that has your customizations that you want, that you could just type into a chat bot, into your like normal social feed, just like as a random idea, and put out there into the world and potentially wake up the next morning with more money than you had the day before.
Right.
Not potentially, probably. Right.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I've only clanked a few tokens, but it's always been just kind of, something for fun. Well, the first one I did, I was thinking, I'll make this impact clanker token that could be used for impact concerts. And I don't know if that's the best platform to create it on, but I've made a couple, and they were all, all the other ones were just silly playing around, and, pull out every once in a while, like a few bucks here and there, because just there was a little bit of action. So it's definitely fun for experimenting. And I think there's also, like you mentioned, like a lot of possible utility behind it too. So kind of a whole world just in Clanker.
Yeah, I've actually not tapped into this yet, but I've heard a lot about Empire. We need to check out Empire, because that is supposedly like an add-on, like an extension to Clankers, where you can do more with your Clanker. So I don't know too much about it, so I don't want to speak yes one way or another, but maybe I can get the founder of it or one of the co-founders to come up one of the times and share a little bit more, because that is a really cool platform that I need to just play around with more. But I'm also waiting a little bit for the Wave Wars one, maybe to actually like dive into it, and then like whatever I figured out with Wave Wars, I'll apply to my own stream. So Retake's really cool. I'm excited about it. There's a lot of cool things that are out there that we can leverage now. And yeah, it was awesome to be here and share with everyone. Good having Ohnahji here. Good having you, Easy. And yeah, episode 15. You got any closing thoughts on all of that, Easy, or anyone in the chat?
I mean, plenty going on. You know, we touched a little on the base app. There's always lots of stuff going on Farcaster too. There was a new kind of mini app mining game that launched just yesterday or day before called Far Legacy. Seemed kind of cool. Hopefully it won't be a rug. You know, there's also plenty of those that, you know, someone will launch like a seemingly cool app, promote it for a while, and then like maybe do a token launch and rug like right away or something. Not that I'm accusing them of that or anything, but it looked pretty cool. It's got cool visuals and kind of like you can mine these crates of like shards. Shard is the token, which hasn't launched yet. Don't go and buy it because it would be a fake. But so that was cool. I'm doing the 100 video challenge, and then Clankermon went live. So the Clankermon mini app has been, you know, they've got a Clanker, their Clankermon coin, and it's been around for a pretty long time, where you could basically like train these baby mons, and then one day they would reveal, and you'd be able to like do some kind of game with them. And it turns out you can like send them into dungeons, and they can sometimes, if they like win the level, they'll bring back some, you know, little kind of like mini maybe NFTs with different, like, you know, it could be electronics, it could be a health buff or a battle thing. And so that just went live a couple days ago, and people were able to reveal the mons they had been sort of like training and stacking over time. And there is like a little store where you can, you know, purchase stuff with your Clankermon or revives. And so that was something that I think had been long awaited, eagerly awaited, and it's pretty cool. So just a couple of things that I noticed over the last few days that were new mini apps over, or, you know, new developments over in the Farcaster ecosystem there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I love it. I think there's a lot of cool things going on. I'm excited to come next week, maybe share a little bit at the beginning, talk about all the cool things that have happened and some of our ideas. And I think there will be a lot of things to share for next week and a lot of thoughts. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining in and being here. Thanks for chatting with us. And thanks Easy for popping in. Thanks Ohnahji B for being co-host with me, Better Call Zaal. I'm going to actually be going live again here in 30 minutes with an interview with someone from the Power Packs community, which I'm very excited about. And then I might be going live again after that, like opening some Power Packs with my buddy. So yeah, it's going to be a long night, but we're here. We're excited. So yeah, pop back in 30 minutes.
Nice. Yeah.
It's going to be a really entertaining interview because he's not very Web3 oriented, but it's collectibles based, right?
The Power Packs are the cards that you were talking about like 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So from GameStop, that you get a PSA graded collectible, and I still don't have beta access, just like you. And I'm sitting here with a FOMO at the mouth. So I am buying all of my packs on my buddy's account. So we're going to be opening some more packs tonight. And yeah, W stream, you know, all the opportunities we get to be out here. And thanks everyone for joining in for episode 15.
Nice. Peace.